It's time for Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network. Tiger Talk, live from the Golden Q in Hayes. The Golden Q, dining, billiards, and a whole lot more. 2 blocks east of campus. The Golden Q. If the game is on, we're open. Tiger Talk is also brought to you by these premier Tiger sponsors. Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Alice, banking one story at a time. The Hayes Med Orthopedic Institute, expertise, technology, and compassion, all right here. Adams Brown, strategic allies and CPAs. BTI, your John Deere dealer in Buckland, Great Bend, Greensburg, Hoxie, Ness City, and Pratt. BTI, our family in partnership with your family. The Taco Shop, dine-in, carry-out, or delivery. You've never had it so good. G&L Tire and Automotive, complete automotive service and repair, and tires for all driving needs.
Hey, good afternoon, and welcome into Tiger Talk. Gerard Wellbrock with you. We'll be talking some softball with head coach Adrian Pilkington. Head baseball coach Jared Goodale joins us a little bit later on in the program. We are live again today at the Golden Q, 2 blocks east of campus. Of course, the Golden Q, if the game's on, they're open. They've got their daily burger and daily food and drink specials, well as their burger of the month and a whole lot more. So stop on by. They'll have some women's basketball on tonight. Of course, baseball opening day getting closer. Big games of the NCAA tournament coming up this weekend. They'll have them on here at the Golden Q, just 2 blocks east of campus. If the game's on, they are open. And we're going to talk a little softball now as we bring in the head coach of the Tigers, Adrian Pilkington. The Tigers played a couple of games up in Kearney on Saturday, and Lopers having a great season. Right now tied for first, and a couple of tight battles. Just couldn't quite get over the hump and get wins in those 2 games on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely set ourselves up to come out with those wins. It's just we made a few mistakes in the field, and then, just kind of got away from us on a few little blue pits from Kearney that we just, you can't cover. It's just fielders are just a little too far away from them. So, set ourselves up to go up there and play a couple good games, and I think we did do that. We just need to learn how to come out on top.
Yeah, and give them credit. They've turned things around. They're having a great season. We mentioned tied for first in the MIAA. They've pitched it really well up to this point of the season.
Yeah, they just kind of got a bad time to play Kearney. Just a little hot streak, and they're a pretty scrappy group. They always play hard. Whether they're up 10 or down 10, they always play hard, and that was something some of the new kids saw firsthand. For the first time going up there this year.
Well, and we talked about it last week with so many young players. A lot of these are first experiences, and you just hope that they learn, I guess, from all these experiences, and eventually you get in some of these situations. The outcome will be different, but there's a process when you have so many young kids on your roster playing a lot of key roles in this team.
Yeah, and they're just they're seeing things for the first time. They're seeing high level and high pace for the first time, and they got to understand what it means to go in there and play a full 7 innings and learn to close out a game, and that you can't just put up runs in one offensive inning and not continue to try to strike throughout the game, and I think that's kind of what bit us a little bit.
Have you noticed any changes or maybe maturation in some of those young players? And I know it's different for every person, but have you seen maybe some signs that, hey, they're starting to get it here a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have some kids that are doing a good job for us, in the field, and we've started to see some bats come around. Our batting average in the last couple of weeks has gone up about 30 points. So as a team, we're seeing some improvement there and working on some of that. We have a couple kids that are young in the lineup. That are lower average but high RBI kids. They're driving in some runs for us. So Reagan Curry's kind of coming around offensively for us, and she plays a really nice shortstop. She's an exceptional defender out there, and Maddie Pierce has hit the ball pretty well for us all season long. It's just sometimes she struggles to find a hole, but again, still driving in runs and doing things that help the team.
Yeah, Curry had 3 hits in the doubleheader, and that's certainly a good sign and exciting, and obviously a key defensive position as well. And we talk about, I mean, you got to do it all, but boy, especially in softball, being good in the field, good defensively, you've been pretty solid that here the last several years. Such a key element.
Yeah, it is. I think it's been the thing that's kept us in games. It's won us games. It's been something that we can, pride ourselves in and kind of know that we're going to go out there and, hey, no matter what, we're going to make some good plays. We're going to make, almost all the routine ones, and we're going to give them a battle out there.
And I would think that's a lot of it. Make the routine play. Obviously, you make the spectacular play. Everybody who's and ahs and remembers that. But it's a lot of times the routine ground balls, you don't make the play, that ends up biting you and costing you games.
Yeah, and it actually did. This weekend we had a couple mistakes in the field. And, again, if we could add a little better offensive push, maybe those don't bite you quite as much. But, you find out really quick how, one ground ball can change the game.
Well, and a lot of times it's we talked about it with Coach Cadeo last week, getting out of an inning with 2 outs, making that key play. It's sometimes how that can snowball and lead to more, to where then it's hard to come back in.
Yeah, and it's not an excuse. We've come off playing a lot of turf here at the first half of the season, and now we're on dirt, and we're just trying to kind of pound them with ground balls and make them make those plays, because it's just a lot different. Yeah. You get to sit back and you get to play a long hop instead of going and getting a short hop, and some of the little things that we're battling to get back to that aggressiveness on the field.
Yeah, how challenging is it? And we're seeing more facilities have turf, but yet not everyone will. Just the difference in playing on turf as opposed to a natural dirt surface. How does the ball react? What is the big difference in the two?
I think it's just a little bit of the speed initially, and then the way just like your first hop comes off the bat. So it's just, like I said, on the turf field, you have a lot better idea of if you're going to get a clean long hop versus if you're going to go get it and get a high short hop. The turf, you can manipulate your footwork a little bit better to create that space and get the ball you want, where on dirt, that kind of dictates it for you. The ball tells you how you need to play it, and we didn't quite make those reads as good as we needed to.
Well, and it seems like on turf it's more of a true bounce. You get a more true hop, and a lot of times, for whatever reason, it seems like it sucks that ball down. You get more ground balls instead of maybe the choppers or bouncers.
Yeah, a lot cleaner. It's just dirt. You can never anticipate a bad hop on on dirt. So you just got to make sure that you're putting yourself in good space to field that ball, so that doesn't bounce up and eat you up. But it's just lessons learned and things that we need to do a little bit better job of, and something we're spending a lot of time on right now, because I think we've got a good little stretch here where we're not on turf for quite a while, so it's something we gotta work at.
Easier to convert. You practice on dirt, obviously. Easier to go to turf, or if you're on turf, is it more difficult to go to the dirt field?
It's harder to go back to dirt. It's it's a lot easier to adjust for the turf. You're gonna get clean hops, and you're gonna be able to make mistakes as a fielder and recover a lot quicker.
Once you get yours, how are you going to handle that next season? Once you get a turf field, are you going to find a place to go out there and just still do some ground balls and get used to it?
We'll find the worst field we can possibly find, and we'll take some hard ground balls off of it, I think, is what we're going to do.
We'll just go over, just outside the ballpark there and take some ground balls on the...
We'll head out to Glassman, I think.
That's probably a good one. But, certainly the game is changing in that regards, and obviously it'll be a nice addition, but it does take into the competition a little bit. Tigers losing a couple to Kearney. We'll talk more about those games. We'll look ahead to the week. Fort Hays State on the road this weekend. Conference games at Pitt State and Missouri Southern. Again, a reminder, you can chime in with a question. You can get a chance to win a $25 gift card from the Golden Q. All you have to do is go to FHSUathletics.com. That is the official Fort Hays State Athletics website. Go to fans. You'll get a drop-down menu there on the very bottom. You'll see Ask the Coach. Submit your question, and if we use it, you'll be in the running for that $25 gift certificate here from the Golden Q. Tiger Talk brought to you in part today by Golden Belt Bank, here to make every story shine brighter. It's the way they do banking, one story at a time. Check them out at goldenbeltbank.com. We will take a break. We'll have more with softball coach Adrian Pilkington as Tiger Talk continues here on the Tiger Sports Network, built by Paul Wurtenberger Construction. Welcome back to Tiger Talk, live at the Golden Q here on this Monday. Tiger Talk presented in part by the Hayes Orthopedic Institute. Expertise, technology, and compassion, all right here. That's the Hayes Orthopedic Institute. They're the official team physicians for Fort Hays State Athletics. Again, live at the Golden Q, 2 blocks east of campus. If the game's on, they're open. Tigers swept by Nebraska Kearney, who's off to a 6-0 conference start and tied for the MIAA lead, losing by scores of 5-3 and 7-2, and right there in both of those, you fell behind 4-1 in that first game and got a 2-run fifth inning to get you right back in it, and then they tack on that run in the bottom of the sixth, but showed some good fight, and as you kind of alluded to, your guys were right there, just maybe couldn't get a couple key hits down the stretch to fill up the win. We
got a little bit, a little snake bit. We hit some balls really hard. They had a couple diving plays. We had a runner on third. Elise Capper came up, and she lined out a ball. I mean, it was right down the left field line, and the girl just dove, and just the right place, right time. That ball should be down, pretty much most of the time. And then we had a couple hard hits to right field that their right fielder ran down. Just hit the ball hard, just needed to find a hole.
You mentioned Pierce, Maddie Pierce. She had a big home run to get you back in that 2-run fifth inning, and one of those young bats excited about, and that was a clutch at bat for her after you'd scored the 1 run to get close it to a 1-run gap. Yeah, she hit the ball pretty well on the day. Again, it might not necessarily be reflected in her stats, but hit the ball hard, hit it hard at a lot of people, and she did come up big with that home run. Give us a chance there. Savannah Egger on the mound or in the circle for you, went 6, 2 earned runs in the contest, 4 strikeouts, couple of walks, scattering 9 hits. Just evaluate how she pitched. I think the thing with Savannah is she can be a really good arm for us here as we move forward. I feel like she didn't throw her best game, and so kind of the message that I keep trying to send to her is, you're producing outs, you're keeping us in games, and you haven't quite hit your stride yet. So she's going to be a kid to definitely keep an eye out for. Coming up in our future, she's got some really good pitches and get some good movement. So she's going to be a really strong point for us moving forward. Second game, you end up losing 7-2. You had the lead 1-0 and 2-1 at one point early on in that contest. They got some runs late, and you got the early lead, but boy, just to find a way to find one more hit. I mean, that first inning could have been a lot bigger, and who knows how it goes. Yeah, I think we had 10 hits in that game, so it just was something where we need to do a better job of pushing runners across and driving them in. I mentioned that we kind of had some bloop hits and some bloop singles, one land in behind second base, one land in, in between shortstop and left field, and they just, they're hard to get to quickly, and the runners are on the move because it's with 2 outs, so they're snagging a couple runs on a hit that shouldn't barely be a single, but it's just no man's land. Yeah, and it's baseball, softball, that it can be an unforgiving game in that regard, and boy, that can be so frustrating. You do everything right, it's it's not a well hit ball, but it's where you place it a lot of times. Yeah, I had Sarah Brickbill was on third base for us at one point during the game, and she had gotten on a ball that she got a little bit jammed on and rolled over, but she snuck it through on the left side of the field by third base, and the at bat before she hit one on the screws to right field and doesn't fall, and it's just like you feel great about the hit to right field. You don't feel near as good about the hit to left field, but hey, you got on base, so it's one of those games that it doesn't always love you. And I guess that becomes the challenge in the mental side. Anybody's played it long enough, they understand. I mean, that's how it works, and it seems like they do even out, but keeping that right mind frame and just grinding and I guess putting it behind you and coming up with a fresh approach, whether it's in the field or at the plate, is so very important. Yeah, I mean, we just try to get the kids to feel positive about quality at bats. Did you do something that helps the team? Did you hit the ball hard? Did you give yourself a chance? And we try to build confidence in that sense, and just making them understand that it doesn't always have to result in a hit. I mean, that's what we want, but there's a lot of positive things that can come even from an out. It's Tiger Talk here on this Monday. We are right at the bottom of the hour, so let's squeeze in 10 seconds for station identification on the Tiger Sports Network, built by Paul Wurtenberger Construction.
Raise your glass, can, or bottle from Kaiser Liquor and salute all the hard-working Fort Hays State Athletics. Kaiser Liquor and 14 KEYS Hayes.
Back on Tiger Talk here from the Golden Q on this Monday. Gerard Wellbrock, head softball coach Adrian Pilkington, chatting about the Tigers' 2 losses up in Kearney. Bailey Carlson made the start, went 5 for you, 6 earned runs, 12 hits. How did she throw it? Obviously not her best outing of the year.
Yeah, again, I just don't feel like that's really reflective of the way that she threw, because she did produce a lot of good outs for us. They're going to scatter their hits. They're going to give up hits. It's just, finding ways to minimize that. And she really did almost, have us out of a couple jams and just like fisted a couple balls over the infield. So I think she threw a good game. I think, the stats feel a little skewed in terms of, what we witnessed and what we watched. We just made a change because I felt like we needed to, change the pace and the speed that the batters were facing.
Yeah, sometimes I would think pitching changes isn't always about, hey, this pitcher's struggling, it's time to get her out. It's more, maybe they're figuring her out.
Yeah.
You still got good stuff, but then you bring in someone who's completely different, maybe gives you a chance.
Yeah, and they're just a totally different look between the two of them, and even our whole staff. We have a very, large variety of arms on our staff, so it's just there's always that chance that you could kind of throw them off, and that's kind of the name of the game. What can you do to throw off the other team and their hitters?
Yeah, Morgan Schmidt came in, struck out 3 in an inning of work, and gave up just the 1 hit in the 4 batters that she faced. Tigers end up losing that game 7-2. Back on the road this week. Couple of toughies in Pittsburgh and Joplin. Pittsburgh State Friday, Missouri Southern on Saturday. We'll talk about those 2 contests, or 2 doubleheaders, when we return. Again, Tiger Talk on this Monday, live from the Golden Q in Hayes. It's also brought to you by Adams Brown, where they do more than just run numbers and file tax returns. They work hard to become strategic allies. Adams Brown Strategic Allies and CPAs. More from the Golden Q on Tiger Talk here on the Tiger Sports Network, built by Paul Wurtenberger Construction.
Fact: 8th Street Liquor is where good times start. Next fact: 8th Street Liquor has the best selection and prices on beer, liquor, and wine. Okay, I don't want to bore you with all the facts, but the fact of the matter is, you just can't get better than 8th Street Liquor. Yep, 8th Street Liquor, where good times start. That's the fact. Jack? Oh yes, they have plenty of Jack too.
Welcome back to Tiger Talk, live from the Golden Q in Hayes, just 2 blocks east of campus. If the game's on, they're open. Fort Hays State softball on the road this weekend. They'll be heading to Pittsburgh for a doubleheader with the Gorillas on Friday, and then 2 in Joplin on Saturday. Couple of teams right around that 500 mark in conference play, and obviously you guys start 0-4, so big road week for you guys to try to get that first conference win and just kind of keep your head above water and hope that you can get on a little bit of run like you see a lot of teams do.
Yeah, it's certainly within our reach. So, we're kind of lucky we just haven't quite gotten as many conference games in as everybody else. So, we've got an opportunity to kind of strike and come from behind here a little bit. So, I don't feel too concerned with the fact that, we haven't won our first 2 doubleheaders. There's still a lot of time for us to recover.
Well, you look at Pittsburgh State and a big challenge for your pitching staff. It seems like this is every year, but they lead the conference at hitting. They lead home runs. They have 73 doubles. That's the most. The most runs scored, almost 250. Obviously, they hang their hat on their offense, and they've been good at that for a long time.
Yeah, that seems to have been their MO for quite a while now. And, it's not necessarily a great thing that we're playing at their park. They've got a really short porch and a short fence, so we're going to have to do our part and keep the ball low and keep them off balance.
Just going to ask you, what is the challenge for your pitching staff in this doubleheader on Friday with the team that can hit it so well and relies on the long ball so much?
I think for us it's just going to be working a low zone, keeping an off speed, and then just making sure that we take opportunities to minimize damage and opportunities that they have. So just convert on our end on 2 outs, make sure we're getting that last one, and they're gonna get their hits. So we just got to understand that going in, and we got to find a way to produce our outs.
Yeah, I guess big thing. get to the big boppers and have as few on base as possible, those don't become 2-3 run homers.
Yeah, I mean, we got to make sure that we mind our P's and Q's on the kids that we need to produce outs on, and we need to produce, effectively on the kids that do swing the bat well.
All right, man. Missouri Southern, they're one game above 500 overall, sitting at 4-4 in the conference. A little scouting report on them.
Yeah, they do a decent job on both sides of the ball. They're another team that kind of relies on their hitting a little bit, but they have some good pitching. We saw that last year when obviously we faced local Bailey Lacey. So she did a really nice job of just keeping us off balance and low. So I think that's probably what we're going to see from their staff, a little bit of versatility in different arms. But we're just going to have to do our part and making sure that we're putting the bat on ball and getting square barrels.
Well, as you said, it's another opportunity for this young team, another experience, see how they respond, and hopefully they've taken what happened to Kearney with them and a chance to get a little bit better. Maybe steal a game or two, and then all of a sudden you feel you're right back in the middle of this thing.
Yeah, I mean, we're right there, and we're doing some good things, and I feel like most of the time when I challenge them, in practice we come out and we do a little bit better at it the next game. So, we're just trying to continue to piece it together, and we're at a good point in season to kind of hit our stride, so that's what we're looking for.
All right, sounds good. Well, good luck. Go get a couple conference wins. Heck, get all 4 of them. That'd be even better.
Yes, sir.
But appreciate you coming by here today, and have a good week.
Thanks for having us.
There you go. That is head softball coach Adrian Pilkington here on Tiger Talk. Again, they're back to conference play this weekend on the road at Pitt State and Missouri Southern. Tiger Talk brought to you in part today by BTI, your John Deere dealer. Buckland, Great Bend, Greensburg, Hoxie, Ness City, and Pratt. BTI, our family, in partnership with your family. We'll take a break. Jared Goodale, the Tiger baseball coach, will join us after the break here on the Tiger Sports Network, built by Paul Wertenberger Construction.
Ready to discover something new? The next time you're in your car, tune your radio to 94.3 FM.
It's here.
It's Hayes' greatest hits.
Love it.
On 1400 KAYS and 94.3 FM.
Do you believe in love? Glory days. Wherever
94.3 FM, KAYS. Go ahead, check us out.
Welcome back to Tiger Talk. We're live at the Golden Q. If the game's on, they're open. Tiger Talk presented in part today by G&L Tire and Automotive, reminding you, before you hit the road, you may have a spring and summer vacation coming up. Stop on by G&L Tire. They've got tires for all your needs, driving concerns, and budgets. Plus, they've got complete automotive service and repair. G&L Tire and Automotive on the bricks in downtown Hayes. Joined now by head baseball coach Jared Goodale. Tigers come up short in 3 games at Pittsburgh Stadium. We kind of touched about it last week. It seems like these series, you have one game that's just, it's a bad game for whatever reason, and one you probably should have won, and right there in the second one that could have gone either way, you're right there in the game, and that's kind of the formula again. Unfortunately, couldn't find a way to scratch into the win column.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head on that one. Game 1 was not a good one. It was okay early, and then the big inning, but. I thought the guys bounced back in Game 2 and Game 3, and especially Game 2, it was kind of a step in the right direction. And then I thought, like I said, we were right there on yesterday and had a chance to win that one, and just didn't get it done.
Yeah, and I would think, obviously, when you're scratching and clawing trying to get wins, and you're in a game like that where it looks like it's going to happen. That'd been a big win. Pitt State's second place in the conference. They've got a good club. That'd have been a huge win. I'd imagine the mental side of things becomes a challenge because you guys were right there and just could not get it done.
Yeah, it started in the series, after last weekend. We're kind of getting to the point where everybody's frustrated, and just when something bad happens, it's like even early in the game, it snowballs, and they just think that's it. But so we had a good talk about that, and I like I said, Game 2 and Game 3 were a lot better. In Game 3. We thought we had them. We had a chance. We definitely had a few batters that could have been rang up in that eighth inning that were not. And the good thing is though, Mason Holton threw the ball really well.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
Even in that inning, he threw the ball really well, and it just didn't work out.
Yeah, it looks bad for him. Gives up 4 in the eighth, but I think he set a season high. Struck out 5 in his 2 two-thirds innings of work, walked 3, and as you said, some of those could have gone either way. But that's a freshman. That's an exciting sign. He struggled a bit at the plate, it looks like, as of late. Which the young guys, I mean, that is to be expected. He started out really hot, good defensive guy, but certainly one of those youngsters that you could start to build around a little bit. That was a great sign on the mound.
Yeah, he looked really sharp. He came in and I think struck out the side in his first inning, and then he was cruising. He gets the first out in the 8th. We get the 5-4 lead and gets the first guy in the 8th, and then 1-2 to their 7-hole and hangs a breaking ball and base it up the middle, and then their 8-hole, we thought he was struck out. It looked pretty good. Everybody thought it was pretty good, but it ended up being a walk. They get a pinch hitter and again, a hard hit ball to our third baseman's left, and we'd move Connor Kessler to third, and because he did a good job in games 2 and 3 at short for us, and he hits his glove, and stays with it, but couldn't get an out at first. If he catches it cleanly, he'd probably turn it, and then you got 1, 2, 3 coming up in the 9th, and that's just the way things have been going this year for us. Unfortunately, it comes down to one play or one pitch, one call here and there.
It's amazing how that happens, and it does make it tough. You mentioned game 1; it was 14-1. You're kind of hanging around, and then they put the 7 spot up, and it's funny how sometimes it's almost easier to come back from those because game was what it was, and it sounds like your team did a pretty good job of that.
Yeah, we talked about just we gotta take it to another level. I mean, we got a lot of these guys, like I said, it's new to college baseball, but we got some other guys that are been around for a while. So we got to take it to a new level from a competitive standpoint and compete like you've never competed before, and at this point, it's like I think some guys are still playing afraid not to fail, and at this point it's like let it rip, let's let it, whatever happens, but play with some play loose and play not afraid to fail.
And it's funny, I mean, I think it works in every sport, but especially baseball, softball. If you go with that approach, I mean, it's almost guaranteed you're going to fail. You can't approach it that way.
Yeah, it's a game of failure, and then when the wins aren't happening and you're finding ways to lose, and let's try something different. We whatever pressure you're putting on yourself, it's not helping us. So we got to mix it up, and we got to try something different.
You mentioned some of the veteran guys. I mean, has that been maybe the most frustrating? I mean, guys you thought, and not all of them, because you can look, Grant Schmidt's having a great year, and you figured he would. And there's others, but then some of the pitching staff, some of the veteran arms who pitched well last year, and all signs were they were going to have a great year. Just it hasn't correlated this season. It's got to be frustrating for you, for them, for everybody.
Absolutely, and that's the hard part of it. And then you just kind of get beat down, and you start expecting to lose, which you can't do that in baseball. But it has been frustrating. I think I definitely didn't anticipate this happening this year, and I think the guys did, the same way. But it's like, well, it's happening. What are we going to do to fix it? And sometimes when you get to that point where you just you let go of the results and just play and try to forget about what you've done so far this season, your numbers or whatever, and treat it as a new opportunity each day, with it like it's game 1. And that's the challenge, though, because when you build up enough baggage and you've made enough mistakes throughout the year so far to find ways to lose a game, that's the challenge of the whole thing.
Jacob Benz, but he'd be one. He gave up 4 runs, didn't record it out. He pitched so well last year, and you're excited when he came back, and he had a great summer when he was picked up by the Larks down to the stretch, and not just to call him out, but there's others like that. But been able to pinpoint what has been the struggle, because I know for pitching it'd be just a fine line of when you're going well and when you're struggling like this.
Yeah, okay, confidence, and confidence in this game is so important. Whether at the plate or on the mound. I think everybody that's had some success on the team that you were just asking about, this is hard for all of them, and so I think everybody's putting a lot of pressure, even more pressure on themselves, and it's a team game though, and if you can just get to a point where you just do your job and everybody's doing their job, and just, like I said, dominate the routine plays, do the basics, throw strikes, change speeds, compete, and I think everybody's, the guys that have been struggling, they're trying to do too much, trying to do too much at the plate, trying to do too much instead of just trusting the guys behind you and the guys around you.
The second game, you gave up 4 in the second, and then kind of hung in there and got behind and got the 3 runs in the top of the ninth, and had a chance for more. But a good sign of that fight and keep battling. And boy, one more hit here or there, you really put some pressure on those guys down the stretch.
Yeah, there was a few guys this weekend that I thought pitched better than what their line indicated. Hunter Parker was one. They got a couple guys in their lineup that can really run. Their middle infielders can really run, and they know how to use their speed. They can chop it into the ground and beat them out and get pitchers moving around, get guys sped up. But felt like every one of those were just out of the reach, or they just would beat it by a half a step. But Hunter Parker, settled in and was throwing up zeros, and then hung an 0-2 breaking ball to the 9-hole, and he hits one out, and that kind of ended his day. And then even Jacob Douglas, I thought he threw the ball pretty well, and you look at their lines, and it's like, man, I thought they just found ways to score runs.
Well, it's funny, when teams are going, that's what happens, and when teams aren't, that's what happens.
Yep, those 2-out hits, and just everything seems right out of the reach, or just a half step, and it just gets mad. We know our margin of error is pretty thin. We got to play well to win, and in all 3 facets, and so it's frustrating when those things, you don't make those plays, or you don't get those when they just are out of reach, or different things like that.
Well, the Tigers will be back in action tomorrow. They've got a non-conference, or a conference game, a midweek conference game with the Newman Jets. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the weekend in Joplin against Missouri Southern, and a whole lot more. Tiger Talk is brought to you by the Taco Shop, where you can download their app, get the full menu, make your order, whether you're calling it in, getting it to go, or having it delivered. The Taco Shop, you've never had it so good. We will take a break. More baseball with Jared Goodale, head coach of the Tigers, after this time out on the Tiger Sports Network, built by Paul Wurtenberger Construction.
That was another legend on 99 KZ Country. And yes, before that, we had a brand new artist. Your home for today's stars and the legends. We play real country. I'm Teresa Trapp. Weather, news, sports, it's all here. We're on Facebook, and there is a listen live link at hayespost.com. Dial us in on your radio at 99.5 FM. KHAZ, Real Country. 99 KZ Country.
Welcome back. It's the final segment here on Tiger Talk. We're live at the Golden Q. If the game's on, they're open. Stop on by. Great food and drink specials every day. Of course, they're Burger of the Month. And great place to watch the ball game. And of course, opening day getting closer. Lots of college basketball, women's tournament tonight. Of course, the big games this weekend. KU on Saturday. You can find it all here at the Golden Q. At the game's on, they're open. Talking baseball with Coach Jared Goodale. We mentioned a little bit about Game 3. It was a great game yesterday. Looked like you had them, and then unfortunately they come through and the Gorillas get 4 runs in the bottom of the 8th inning. But you had to be proud of your guys. They battled and got some key home runs from Connor Kessler and Grant Schmidt at a 3-run shot to give you that lead in the 6th inning. I mean, you came up with some timely hits, just couldn't quite get out of it there in that 8th inning. But you guys really battled. And hopefully some momentum and good signs to build forward from. Yeah, for sure. I thought the last couple of games, I think on Game 1 it was a little kind of beat down, feeling a little sorry for yourselves, and I thought we picked it up Saturday and Sunday, and we did. We played well, and again, Grant Schmidt hits a 3-run home run to take us the lead. Right before that, or 2 batters before that, we had a freshman in the 2-hole that thought ball 3 was ball 4 and gets picked off at first, and then Brady walks and Grant hits a home run. It could have been a grand slam. It's just been things like that. It's like things that just cannot happen that have been happening in key moments. But the guys battled hard. They played hard.
Connor Kessler, start in the second, hitting a two-run home run, kind of right off the foul pole out of the blue. It just kind of went from we first two guys get up, and then Trey gets a base hit, and then first pitch he hits one, and that gave us a little spark, and Jake Campbell threw the ball really well, and even again when they answered with two, I don't know if the ball left the infield, but Connor gave us a good spark this weekend.
You mentioned earlier Mason Holton, one of your young guys, third baseman, pitched. He's a two-way guy, and you've got a lot of those. I know you like to have those two-way guys who can both pitch, both play the field, can hit and do all of that. How do you determine, how much do you use them as a pitcher? How much do you use them in the field? How do you go about all of that and in balancing that act where they can be effective in both categories, I guess?
I don't think I've done a real good job of it this year. So, especially with him, he's a good arm. And we pitched him a little early. I think one appearance earlier, maybe two. And I think he threw good his first one, and then when we were at Drury, he wasn't. And they good offensive club, and then he's been playing third for us and so much, and he's really good defensively, and we've had a hard time getting him out. But he's got to pitch. He's and Cade Flaherty's another guy. We need to throw him more and. Just because there's a couple of our top arms, and so it was really good to see Macy. He looked fresh. We were thinking about maybe even starting him tomorrow if he didn't throw this weekend. But I think some of the two-way guys for us, it's been challenging because they're right there offensively with some other guys, but nobody's really kind of stepped up offensively. But we're to the point now, we got to get them on the mound, and even if we got to take a step back defensively in another area, we got to get some of our best arms in there.
But it seems like that right now is the challenge. Offensively, yes, you could always be better, but you're hanging in there. You're scoring enough runs by and large in most games. It's that consistent pitching seems to be the missing element right now.
Yeah, giving us a chance early, and that was another hard part about Zach Berg. Well, Sammy Sanchez was out this weekend. He's battling a toe and only threw 2 innings last weekend, and so we kind of had to. Who do we start? And Zach Berg's been really throwing the ball well and out of the bullpen for us, but he didn't look as good to start that game, and he settled in and threw it a little bit better as we went. But to start, he just didn't look all that good, and yeah, that's a good question.
I guess a work in progress, as they say. Newman tomorrow, midweek conference, as the MIAA goes back to those. And a wild one. You got a big road win 2 weeks ago down in Wichita. Obviously, they're having a good year, above 500. They're hanging it in there. This will be a good one to get, and it's going to be windy. It's going to be blowing in, which doesn't necessarily mean it's a great day to pitch. It's a different day to pitch, but obviously another opportunity at home against a team you've beaten. So this becomes a big ball game to try to build off of what happened on Sunday and find a way to get back into that win column.
Yeah, for sure. They just beat UCO 2 out of 3 at UCO and pitched it really well, and they got a good club. They do. They can swing a little bit, and it's interesting with the midweek pitching, and again, have a chance to win a series. I know it's a midweek series, but it's still a conference series, and we haven't had a chance to do that a whole lot this year, and so hopefully the guys, and being back at home, and I think hopefully the guys take advantage of that tomorrow.
How do you go about those midweek pitching wise, and with what you did over the weekend? Is it more of a pitching by committee when you go about these midweek games?
Yeah, with Sammy, being kind of questionable for this weekend, it was like, well, let's just keep him back and throw him on Tuesday, even if it's for a couple innings, and so we did that the day before. So we have him. We kept a few others back, and then some of the guys that threw maybe Friday or Saturday can come back, and you try to keep some pitching for that midweek game, just because it matters, just like the weekend.
But it's a conference game, exactly. Yep. Just and everybody's in the same boat, so it's just always interesting how that handles. And we'll have it for you tomorrow right here on KAYS 440 with the Auto World pregame. Coach, we appreciate the time as always. We will see you out at the ballpark tomorrow afternoon.
All right, thanks, Gerard.
There you go. It's Jared Goodale, head coach of the Tigers. Again, that'll be a 5 o'clock o'clock first pitch. So coming off work, head on out to Larks Park. We'll have it for you beginning at 4:40 with our Auto World pregame show. Tiger Talk presented again today by G&L Tire and Automotive, BTI, Adams Brown, the Hayes Orthopedic Institute, Golden Belt Bank, and the Taco Shop. And, of course, we're live at the Golden Q. If the game's on, they're open. Back here next Monday for another edition of Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network, built by Paul Wurtenberger Construction.